Welcome to the Grit and Growth Podcast. My name is Jessica Hobirk with our special guest today, Mr. George Roberts. He's a seasoned real estate investor, author, and data scientist turned multifamily syndicator. Founded Roberts Capital Enterprises, which sponsors value-add multifamily investment opportunities across the Southeast and Midwest for qualified passive investors. Just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate you being here. And my first question would be, what first drew you into multifamily investing?
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And multifamily investing. Well, I was back in my award winning data scientist days, and I went looking for all of the very best ways to invest my money. This was pre pandemic, and it looked like multifamily was the way to go. And I just went all into it. Now, from there, I decided, to broaden a little bit as a passive investor. But the great thing about these cycles that we have in the market is that there's always another great best time to invest. And I think it's another great time to invest in multifamily now in the mid 2025.
Definitely. From your perspective, what's the most common reason you seem to think portfolios lose revenue unexpectedly?
Right. There are so many ways, Jessica. And right now, I would say that one of the main ways is through vacancy. What we see is that we had this giant building glut over, or I should say, we're terribly behind on building overall since the Great Recession. But recently, we've had an incredible building glut in multifamily specifically. And since it takes a little longer to get the multifamily product online,
Mhm.
even though we're again below trend in building, a lot of these projects are still going to continue to be built over the next 6 to 12 months. So we could see that it'll be for some markets beginning or maybe mid 2026 before that glut is absorbed onto the market. So what I think a lot of people need to do is just get heads in beds. And if you have to lower the rent quickly, I would say the quicker the better. Definitely you want to make sure that you're not leaking for one of the most obvious reasons. But another one is bad property management. Regardless of what your occupancy level happens to be in your market, I had one property manager we had to fire, was in there a couple months, couldn't lease up a freshly renovated apartment. And
Crazy.
so we went and told him, hey, buddy, we're going to have to, this isn't working out. We'll let you out of this thing. He's like, no, no, you got to give me my 60 days. I'm like, you're kidding me. So he had 60 days to collect the rent. And at the end of the 60 days, he says, well, you haven't paid me all that you've owed me. Oh, we paid him essentially all of the revenue from that apartment for, I don't know, 4 to 6 months, almost all of it. And he said, you owe me more.
Wow.
So, I mean, I talk about how bad a bad property manager can be. They can be really bad. So I've got some suggestions there. Now, my inclination was to just write that legal nastygram immediately and just say, hey, these are expectations. If you can't get us one lease a week in essentially an empty building, freshly renovated, then you're out. And then if they can't do that, have that letter ready. Whatever it costs to write that letter, it's a pittance compared to how much they're costing you. So get them out of there as quick as possible. You know what happened? We got some legal advice that just follow your contract, give them the 60 days. Well, never going to listen to that advice again. I may not be a lawyer, but I know bad advice when I hear it. And yeah. And the other thing is document all your conversations. So if you even begin to think there's a problem, say, hey, we set expectations. We said, this is what we need. This is what, it's going to take to make this profitable. And it's not happening. We talked about it again on this date, etc. Yeah, exactly. It's just like firing somebody because you are
Mhm.
firing somebody. Here's another one, bad work crews. It takes time to get the right work crew. I had one project where we started out with $20,000 per unit renovation. These were nice
Mhm.
renovations, by the way.
That's good. That's a
And we
good
got that
cost.
down to 12,000. And all that is by just trying new people and getting out the people that are inefficient. So it takes time. Just stick with it. And once you have the right work crew, make sure you pay them on time
Yes.
because you want to keep them. You want to keep yourself, your project top of mind at all times so that
Definitely.
they're always working on that project. But anyway, I have some more. Maybe I'll save that for the end.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what systems and processes have you found the most effective for spotting and addressing these type of issues early on?
So, a few things. One is just being on top of your financials. So, you should have your bookkeeping probably done for you. Because, look, if you're a real estate investor, I'm going to guess that bookkeeping is not your favorite thing to do and you might let it slip. So I have my assistant do that. She does a great job and it keeps me always on top of things. You keep looking at that T12 and you can do some things like a horizontal analysis, which you're just looking, comparing to the same amount last month or the following month and saying, hey, what jumps out at you? You can also enhance this with, you can do like color map it. Okay. Do a heat
Mhm.
map for it. And that really helps to make this easy. And I'd like to do that particularly for underwriting because I haven't seen those numbers at all before. Totally new property. And that's a great way to have things jump out at you. You can also do a vertical analysis. You just convert everything to percentages for that month and see, what seems like an odd amount of percentage for, say, property management and things. So these things really help. And again, yeah, anytime that you can use heat mapping to understand your numbers, always want to visualize that data.
Awesome, awesome. So that kind of leads into our next question, which is where do you see the biggest opportunities for technology or process improvement to protect NOI?
Right. Huge things. Anything you do more efficiently is definitely going to help that bottom line. And there are just so many tools. When you talk about things like AI, most people think Chat GPT. Well, that's a good start, but really that's just all about, building chatbots, etc. Beautiful tool. I use it all the time to prepare for my interviews, for my podcast. But you want probably something more powerful, something that's more directed towards your own business. So Inbox is something that can really slow people down. So there are tools like Seraph that'll go through that. Content creation, if you're very client facing like me. So you can use a tool like Claude to write your
Mhm.
scripts. And then you can have something like HeyGen actually create an AI avatar for you and then go out and create that content. And it's so good. I have a friend who did that. He showed it to his wife. Wife didn't even notice that it wasn't him. So these tools are getting really, really good. But then where the real gold is in building the workflows. And you get a tool like, Zapier, you put it all together and then you get it to actually go out and post your content. Somebody like Alex Hormozy putting out 20
Mhm.
content every day. How does he do it? Not by himself.
Definitely
And
not.
not just because he's got a team, but, actually, I hope I got the name right because I know he's doing also great stuff, but there are other people who are out there and going literally end to end with these tools, and they're putting out just dozens of pieces of content every day. I can never compete with people like that. And, I gotta go build my chatbot. No, I'm sorry, my chatbot. Let's back up. I gotta go, build my AI avatar.
Yes, you definitely do. And that's something I could
To build
help
a
you with as
chatbot
well.
too, because that's a great way to interact with your
Website.
residents and make sure that they're getting taken care of right away.
Yep, definitely, definitely. So that brings us to a couple of other questions as well. What advice would you give to other multifamily operators to maintain a strong portfolio, especially in ever shifting markets and stuff like that?
Stay on top of the data. And I've got so many data sources that I love. I'll just give you a few. Fred.stlouisfed.org. There's Freddie Mac, which is perfect for multifamily. They drill down deep and they are very multifamily specific. I think they cover over a couple dozen cities at this point. And you want to research things like occupancy trends. That's something you get at Fred. Let me see. What are some other things you can do? Yeah, again, just totally getting on top of your data trends.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's lead into one of your little passion projects that you're doing to educate us passive investors out there. Tell me about this book.
Yes. So I've got my book called Passionate Living Through Passive Investing. And this is a story about what you can do in private markets, but it's also really the story of my life. And I wanted to tell this story first because I could write a great big textbook about private equity, but I wanted to tell people that you can do this. You can take your nest egg, you can invest in private equity, you can decouple yourself from the stock market's roller coaster, and you can get above market returns and live the life that you truly deserve because everything you do in life is a muscle. Living passionately is no exception. So if you go out this year and you actually practice taking some of that money that you earned from whether it's your active or your passive investments and make sure that you're really living life. And I'm not talking about just taking a really expensive quick travel vacation, but actually thinking about some creative ways about how you can live larger every day, you're going to build that muscle of passion and passionate living in your life. And you should be living larger every year. Don't wait until you're old and gray to say, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do everything I wanted to do since college. You don't know. I mean, you might be stopped by anything, arthritis or whatever. Maybe you can't snowboard anymore. Got to get out there every day.
Definitely, definitely. I did read part of your book. I started reading it once you sent it to me, and I really do enjoy that passionate
Thank
part.
you.
We always get so caught up as entrepreneurs, we get caught up in the day-to-day, the stress of the business and everything else. It's really hard to take that time out for yourself. You almost feel guilty sometimes, but it's necessary. It's a necessary thing to do to make sure that you're living authentically, and that way you can show up in every relationship authentically, not just work. And
Yeah.
that reset is much needed. So I did read part about avoiding lifestyle creep in your book. Could you tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about that?
So this for me, I think is so important because being happy is not about getting what you want. It's about loving what you've got. And if you can't be happy with your possessions right now, then having more just isn't really going to make a difference. And so I focus not on, I mean, I say this, broadcasting from the nicest room in my house. I've got my piano and my artwork and some of the gold working that I've done behind me. But for me, it's really not all about possessions. I didn't go and buy a bigger car or a bigger house when I had more money. I wanted to have more experiences. So I got myself a small sailboat and I take group dance lessons every night with my wife. And I find these experiences are, I think, much more enriching than trying to gild my entire house.
Definitely, definitely. Life definitely happens outside of the home, and having those experiences far outweigh staring at something that can't
Yeah.
give you too much joy, right? That's awesome. How about give me some places where our listeners can reach out to you and learn more about your passive investments and possibly investing with you, and where to find your book?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach out to me at www.robertscapitalenterprises.com. You can get a free chapter for an upcoming book. And for my current book, Passionate Living Through Passive Investing, you can find that on Amazon and Audible. So, yeah, please reach out. And whether you want to book an appointment to invest with me, or you just want to learn about how to invest actively, or you just want a little advice or want to tell me what you thought about the book, you can do all of that through my website.
Awesome, awesome. Well, George, I really appreciate your time today. Very insightful. Thank you for all your outlooks on this stuff. Protecting NOI and investing with intention, it's a message that couldn't be more relevant right now. Thank you again for joining us and sharing your perspective. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Let's do a sequel.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Have a
Round
great
2. Oh, that was awesome. Jessica, I didn't